National Guardsman charged with unauthorized retention and transmission of national defense information and willful retention of classified documents in connection with that massive leak of Pentagon secrets. Heavily armed FBI agents surrounding the Massachusetts home of 21-year-old Jack Teixeira yesterday, bringing an end to a week-long hunt for the source of that leak. Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz has the latest.
The young man authorities say could be responsible for leaking hundreds of top-secret documents, now in custody. An FBI SWAT team outfitted in full tactical gear surrounding the New England home of 21-year-old Jack Teixeira, a low-ranking enlisted airman and IT specialist for the intelligence wing of the Massachusetts Air National Guard. Aerial cameras capture him as he appears to wait on the deck, reading. A news helicopter overhead as the agents move in. Later, walking down the driveway in gym shorts and a T-shirt, agents order him to turn around and slowly walk back towards the armored vehicle with his hands on his head, and then they quickly handcuff him.
The Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information.
Investigators say the arrest comes after an intense week-long manhunt and less than 24 hours after the Washington Post published an interview with a teen who said he was part of a chat group with the young man who leaked the documents. The teen did not identify the man.
He was a young, charismatic man who loved nature, God, who loved shooting guns and racing cars. He did see himself as the leader of this group, and ultimately he was the leader of this group.
The teen said that starting last fall, the man who called himself OG posted hundreds of pages of classified documents to impress his friends in the invitation-only group on Discord, a chat website popular with young gamers.
I would not call OG a whistleblower in the slightest. I don't think that there was a goal nor some sort of accomplishment that he was looking for in sharing these documents. Of course, there's some anti-government sentiment, but that's not unlike most right-wingers in the modern day and age.
When the story of the leaks grew, the teen said OG felt like the end was near, signing off of the group for the final time just a few days ago.
He was just saying that this may be the last he ever sees of us, and he was thanking us for all the good times that we had together and hoping that everything would blow over.
The Pentagon now facing hard questions about why the 21-year-old airman had access to such closely guarded secrets.
It is important to understand that we do have stringent guidelines in place for safeguarding classified and sensitive information. This was a deliberate criminal act.
Our thanks to Martha Raddatz for that reporting. And senior investigative reporter Aaron Kotursky joins me now from Boston, along with ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us today. Aaron, you first. You were in court today for Teixeira's appearance. What was the scene like there? We know he seemed to call out to his family.
He did. At first, he appeared to smile at them as he entered court in handcuffs, Ariel. And it was a very brief appearance. When it was over, he stood at the defense table, offered his wrists to the marshals so that he could be recuffed. And as he was led from court, that's when someone in the front row called out, "I love you, Jack." And he responded, "I love you too, Dad." The first bench was reserved for family members. In addition, apparently, to his father, there were two other women who were seated there, and he appeared to glance at them before the hearing began. And once it did, it went very quickly. He was there in a beige smock and pants, a black T-shirt underneath. Didn't say much other than answering some routine questions from the judge, who informed him of the charges: the unlawful retention and transmission of national defense information and classified material. And according to the criminal complaint, Ariel, it's based on just one document that was posted to Discord back in February. Undoubtedly, there are many more as the investigation goes on.
Yeah, they suspect there could be hundreds. And Aaron, we're talking about a 21-year-old here. How serious are these charges?
Well, collectively, the two charges that he faces right now carry a maximum of 15 years in prison. But again, it's just based on the retention and transmission of one government document from back on February 23rd when it was accessed at a computer here in Massachusetts where the airman worked down at Otis Air Force Base. And then on the 24th of February is when he allegedly posted it on Discord. The FBI was able to access Teixeira's account with Discord's help after they had interviewed someone in the chat group where this document was posted. It's unclear from the charging document whether that's the same person that you heard interviewed by the Washington Post who described the nature of this chat room and why he believed Teixeira allegedly did this. The charging document says nothing about motive, whether it really was glory-seeking or ego, or whether it was something more sinister.
Yeah, that teenager kind of alluding that this might have all just been hubris on the part of a 21-year-old bragging to his teenage friends. We're talking about months, Mick, that these documents were sitting there in Discord and then started to transmit beyond Discord to other parts of the internet. How alarming is it that a low-ranking guardsman would have access to such sensitive information? Is that unusual? And how alarming that it was sitting there for so long undetected?
So, Ariel, it is alarming in the fact that it indicates that just far too many people have access to this type of information. They didn't have a need to know, but because this person was essentially an IT officer, or not an officer, IT specialist in the Air Force, he could access the system and then print and actually take it with him. So there's a lot of things that broke down there, and I think we're going to have to do a much better job at controlling who can get access to this information, who can print this information, and then how they can just carry it out, to your point, over months without anybody knowing that he's doing it or catching that it's online and being distributed to all different types of media sites. So this is very troubling, and it's going to be something that the U.S. intelligence community and Department of Defense really need to get a handle on.
It's also perplexing as to how he managed to take a camera, take photos of documents, and then make his way out of those secured facilities with all of that information. Aaron, we know that Discord is allegedly cooperating with the DOJ on this investigation. Can you tell us a little bit about Discord for those who aren't familiar with it and maybe what they're looking into at this point?
Well, it's been popular with gamers mainly, but we've also seen Discord host some more disturbing content. Almost a year ago, it was the mass shooter Peyton Gendron in Buffalo who posted on Discord his whole plan of attack and how he cased the top supermarket in East Buffalo before he went ahead and killed 10 black people out of a racial animus, and he's been, sentenced to life in prison now. But that's when Discord really came into focus of the authorities. Here, it was used allegedly to play host to a chat room where people were discussing and having a look at classified material. In the end, it appears that Discord did give the FBI the credentials, the account credentials for Teixeira, so the FBI was able to link him to the account where this illicit document was posted. But there are clearly some concerns if any social media platform can play host to this stuff, and why somebody who didn't necessarily need access to daily Ukrainian war progress reports, as Mick suggests, why did he necessarily have them? It seems to speak to an internal system in addition to the concern about Discord and other social media sites.
Yeah, and on that point, Mick, we know that Ukraine's top spy chief has said that Russia is the only beneficiary of this leak. We know that this trove of information included sensitive documents that talked about our allies, talked about our adversaries and our relations with them. How does this affect specifically the war in Ukraine and also our relationship with our allies and our adversaries around the world?
So starting with the adversaries, unfortunately, it tells them what we know and potentially how we know it, which goes to our sources and methods. They will look at this and try to determine how we found that information out. And that could lead to the compromise of assets, including human assets, which has a very real world consequence. When it comes to the war in Ukraine, I've looked at all of them. I don't think it's going to change the counteroffensive that's being planned that much, but it's always good to have all the information that you're using to plan something like this large military campaign secret. It's compromised potentially assets that we had in the Wagner Group, which we really need to know because that tells us what the enemy plans to do. So that's also a consequence. I don't think it'd be a major one, but it's certainly something we didn't want to have. And lastly, to the point on allies. Yes, most countries collect information not just on their foes, but also their friends. So I think a lot of these countries are do it to us, so they're not going to be totally outraged by this. But it's never good. It causes diplomatic problems, and it's not something we ever want publicly disclosed. So all of this had consequences to the United States national security and our intentions around the world.
Well, we know that the Biden administration is now working to stem the tide of any potential fallout. Mick Mulroy and Aaron Katersky, thank you both so much for sharing your insight and expertise with us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.